Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad HARIZ AKMAL bin ZAKIR, metric number 264487. So I will start presenting case 5, that's for the CFO. Should PFIZER acquire ALLERGAN? Statement of the problem is, should PFIZER merge or not with ALLERGAN? Next, what is the problem in this case? PFIZER facing a decline in its revenue for the past few years. The stock price had been relatively flat since the net income attributable to PFIZER is decreased. As a result, the investors were growing restless. Next, we have two alternative solutions in this case. So first is choose to merge with ALLERGAN. Second is not to merge with ALLERGAN. So let's see the alternative one, the advantages. PFIZER will be able to change their tax residence to Ireland where ALLERGAN domicile in. PFIZER only needs to pay 12.5% instead of 40% US tax. Additionally, by relocating its tax residence to Ireland, PFIZER worldwide tax rate was estimated to drop from 25% to 18% in the first year alone. The merger with ALLERGAN also increased the overall profitability of PFIZER because now they have larger product pools to keep competitive in pharmaceutical industry. Next, PFIZER management can also be improved because the merger will bring in all the elites from ALLERGAN into the company. Both the company elites will be able to work together in increasing the efficiency and effectiveness of the company. For example, the CEO of ALLERGAN will act as a COO at the combined company. Next, the merger will allow PFIZER to better utilizing their cash instead of the money to be locked outside of the country. Now they will be able to repatriate the money back to the company because of the lower tax rate. Next, let's see the disadvantages for the solution number 1. One of them is that PFIZER will need to take the risk for the changes of the tax regulation since the regulator and government are still at the stage of the considering the date to implementing the new regulation regarding tax inversion. But we can't tell that the regulator might fasten their process, causing the process of changing tax residency to Ireland be more difficult or fail. It will cause a huge loss to PFIZER if it happens. Other than that, PFIZER might also face the risk that the benefit expected by the merger don't worth the consideration that had been paid because the tax saving might not as many as PFIZER thinking. Next, let's see what if we choose alternative number 2. What are the advantages? Next, if PFIZER will able to save the 152 billion share for share acquisition, and they could avoid the risk of the new regulation that will affect their merger and their performance. PFIZER can utilize the money they save from the merger to focus more on expanding their own products and earning more market share. Next, the disadvantage. PFIZER need to pay a relatively high tax rate in US, which is 40% compared to Ireland, that is only 12.5%. PFIZER also will lose the chance to be able to gain knowledge from ALLERGAN how its CEO able to map its strategies and implement it to accomplish its company's objective. PFIZER will not be able to utilize the cash that had been trapped outside of the company because it will cost PFIZER a lot if they wish to repatriate the money back into the US. Next, after I have discussed the advantages and disadvantages for solution number 1 and number 2, now I need to recommend which solution is the best. The problem is, should PFIZER merge or not with ALLERGAN? So my answer for this problem is yes. So let's see whether ALLERGAN is the good choice or not, and does ALLERGAN fit the PFIZER needs. In this part, I will apply one theory and one tools, which is financial ratio and synergy theory. For synergy theory, the firm merge because the value of the combined firm greater than the sum of the value of the individual firm. If two companies can merge to create greater efficiency or scale, the result is what is sometimes referred to as a synergy merge. Synergy is divided into two parts. First is operating synergy. Under operating synergy have economy of scale and economy of scope. For economy of scale, increasing the scale of production generally increases costs less than it increases revenue. Economy of scope, operating synergy arise from an efficiency gain. For example, the pro of the merger in the transmission of ALLERGAN technology, PFIZER will be able to access ALLERGAN's technology to develop pharma product, especially the ALLERGAN's pharma product, which is Botox and Alzheimer drug Namenda, in the newly merged company. They can share their technology strategy to improve and diversify their pharma product. While for the environment factor is how the pharmaceutical company managed to control the waste and reduce the pollution. The management team of PFIZER and ALLERGAN able to collaborate, minimizing the waste and the recycling improvement. Next, for the financial synergy, the firm merge will result in financial advantages that are unable to achieve individually, for example, tax gain or opportunity for internal financing. Let's see the example of financial synergy based on this case. In year of 2014, PFIZER main revenue 62% is generated internationally and the remaining 38% is contributed by the US. This is one of the reasons that why PFIZER should choose to merger with the ALLERGAN. Since PFIZER main source of revenue come from foreign country, PFIZER need to pay a high amount of US tax when repatriating the foreign country's income. But if PFIZER merge with ALLERGAN, the tax resident will be moved to Ireland and PFIZER only need to pay 12.5% instead of 40% US tax. PFIZER will also obtain all of the ALLERGAN's future revenue and profit. The combined revenue and profit of the merged company were expected to total $68 and 21 billion respectively. Let's see the cost versus benefit analysis. Cost, if when PFIZER choose to merge with ALLERGAN, it means that PFIZER will accept the offer of 152 billion stock for stock acquisition. PFIZER would pay the equivalent of $363.63 per share of ALLERGAN, representing a 30% premium over ALLERGAN's pre-announcement share price. When formalizing the agreement means activating a US $400 million breakup clause. Next, for the benefit, PFIZER income tax saving were estimated to be $1.4 billion in the first year, following the merger increasing to $2 billion by the third year. The tax saving will also greatly reduce cost of capital to repatriate the $74 billion in overseas cash holding that PFIZER had accumulated. Next, I also do the financial ratio for both companies. First is liquidity ratio. We have two types of ratio here, current ratio and operating ratio. For both companies, PFIZER and ALLERGAN have positive ratio for 2013 and 2014. Both companies have improvement in their liquidity for their company from 2013 to 2014. Second is leverage financial ratio. I have computed the debt to equity ratio and debt ratio. Next is efficiency ratio. I'll computed asset turnover ratio. Both companies have declined ratio from 2013 to 2014, but still in positive amount. For profitability ratio, I have computed return on asset ratio and return on equity ratio. For return on asset ratio, PFIZER ratio was decreased from 12.78 to 5.4, but it still shows a positive ratio. For ALLERGAN, it shows a negative ratio from 2013, which is negative 3.3 to negative 3.10. So based on the ratio that I've computed, we could say that both companies in good financial health. So transfer pricing or tax evasion. Transfer pricing means that the company is able to shift earning to a lower tax overseas subsidiary by having a greater income in the foreign state and more expense in the residence country. Disadvantages of this tax planning is that the profit will become locked in lower tax country. PFIZER is parent to the company that tax resident in US, while the subsidiary is ALLERGAN, tax resident in Ireland. Trade with both countries should be done as a multinational trade. ALLERGAN can sell goods or service to PFIZER to increase PFIZER expense that would help lowering profit to PFIZER and lower the tax due to lower profit. But if profit is in ALLERGAN is transferred to US, higher tax may be imposed in the transfer. So tax evasion is the action where company relocating a headquarter to the other country which has lower tax rate. So in this case, PFIZER will merge with ALLERGAN, and PFIZER will change the tax resident status to Ireland that have lower tax rate. PFIZER will become subsidiary of ALLERGAN. All operation still in US, but the headquarter is changed to the Ireland. To enjoy lower tax rate, tax evasion will lower the risk of the tax repatriation. So from my opinion, I would prefer tax evasion for this case. In conclusion, based on the synergy theory, cost-benefit analysis, and financial ratio that I have computed, I could say that PFIZER should merge with ALLERGAN. That's all from me. Thank you.